How does defense work? We know it reduces damage, but how does it reduce damage? If I increase my defense by a flat amount, my damage taken isn't reduced by that same flat amount. And if I decrease enemy defense by a percentage amount, my damage dealt doesn't increase by that same percentage amount. Let's break down how defense works, starting with how it's calculated. Characters have three main variables that affect their defense: base, percent, and flat. Base defense is unique to each character and can be increased by ascending them and leveling them up. For example, Sethos at level 20 will have a base defense of 156, and at level 40, their base defense will be 233. Defense percent is a stat you can find, well, everywhere. Ascension stats, talents, weapons, artifact sets, and to the annoyance of many, artifact main stats and substats. Oh, and constellations. Especially constellations. Flat defense can be found in talents, food, artifact sets, and artifact substats. Annoyingly. These factors form our equation, from which we can do a quick example. My level 70 Beidou has a base defense of 501, a weapon that provides 24.6% defense, and a circlet that provides 58.3% defense, and 21 flat defense. Putting these values into our equation will give us 937 total defense. Oh, and any maths here are a visualization of the real calculations that are down here. Anyway, as we can see, 937 defense on Beidou. Nice. Enemy defense, unlike character defense, cannot be observed as a value in a menu. It's based on enemy level, although it's multiplied by 5 and 500 is added to it, for whatever reason. As a result, this Hilichurl has more defense than Ashtaha. We know that enemy defense can be reduced by certain talents, but mostly constellations. While an enemy is affected by the special cryo buff, their defense is increased by 100%, and they don't even need to be half health. Defense percent will multiply everything, which gives us our equation for enemy defense. Do note that defense percent cannot go below -90% according to the wiki. However, I am simply too poor to verify this. Let's calculate the defense of this Hilichurl here. We can see he is level 100, and he is affected by the special cryo buff, giving him 100% defense. This means his defense is 2000. A very beefy boy indeed. Now we have equations for calculating defense, we can get onto the more juicy stuff. How defense affects damage. And to be honest, it's very weird. The damage reduction due to defense is as follows. We get the defender's defense, divide it by itself, then add 5 multiplied by the attacker's level, add 500 on the denominator. Like I said, very weird. This formula applies if your character is attacking an enemy, or an enemy is attacking your character. The resulting damage reduction is what reduces your damage in Genshin's damage equation. But this formula is kind of meaningless. There's simply too much going on to know how this affects your damage. So let's mess with the variables to see what happens. Let's assume the attacker's level is 90. Now, obviously, increasing defense will increase the damage reduction. However, it isn't linear. If I put this equation on a graph, you can see it takes on a curved shape where it flattens out as your defense increases. Let's say the defense of the target is 950. If I change the attacker's level, you can see that a higher attacker level results in a lower damage reduction for the defender, and vice versa of course. Adding this information as lines on the graph, you can clearly see that a higher level attacker will deal more damage, as the defender has less damage reduction. You might have been taught in school that if the numerator and denominator are equal, then the result will be 1, or 100% in our case. Well, because of these terms here, the denominator will always be larger than the numerator, meaning 100% damage reduction is mathematically impossible. Now of course, if you want 100% damage reduction, look no further than your wallet. Ah, Hoyo, never change. Let's do an example showing how my damage is reduced. I'll be attacking this level 94 Hilichurl. I'll be reducing his defense by 20% thanks to my C2 Malfuika, and my level 70 Carrara will be doing the attacking. Let's calculate the Hilichurl's defense first. His level is 94, and as we know, his defense is reduced by 20%. This results in a defense of 776. We can now calculate the Hilichurl's damage reduction by substituting his defense and inputting Carrara's level, which is 70. This results in a damage reduction of roughly 47.72%. This damage reduction will affect my Carrara's damage, which is roughly 84.5. This will mean that I will deal 44 damage to the Hilichurl. Pause now if you are wondering why my Carrara's damage is roughly 84.5. Let's go over some notable values related to enemy defense. You will deal roughly 2.5% less damage against an enemy 10 levels higher than your character, and deal 5% less damage to an enemy 20 levels higher. Reducing an enemy's defense by 15% will increase your damage by roughly 8%. This value slightly increases against higher level enemies. Reducing an enemy's defense by 30% will increase your damage by roughly 18%, again slightly increasing against higher level enemies. You might have noticed that doubling the defense shred gave me more than double the damage gains. And that's because this graph is curved, which you might remember from earlier. All of this talk about defense would make you wonder if stacking defense is better than stacking HP if you are trying to be tanky, an admittedly rare scenario to find yourself in. We can use a chart to see what's better. The average character will have an effective health of 32,969. Effective health is a measure of health when accounting for defense in this case. If this character equips one Def percent 5-star artifact, their effective health is 40,337. Double and triple Def percent artifacts result in 47 and 55,000 respectively. Compare this to HP percent artifacts and you will find that HP percent is better. Mixing HP percent and Def percent artifacts gives mixed results depending on the combination, but I struggle to think of a scenario where you'd want 2 HP percent artifacts and 1 Def percent artifact. If you want to calculate the effective HP for your character, check the spreadsheet in the description. It also includes data when you account for HP percent and Def percent weapons. Also, here are the assumptions from the chart you just saw. Now it should be said that reducing enemy defense and ignoring enemy defense are two different things. If you are ignoring enemy defense, this equation will have these extra terms. I decided to skip over defense ignore for this video as it is really specific. The wiki, which is what this video is based on, has a short explanation as to how they are different. It also has this formula for calculating enemy defense for your damage spreadsheets in one big go rather than several smaller steps. Shout out to my channel members for being such awesome yappers. A couple of my friends have made a spooky item game, which is available on Steam. It's a well-polished game with a big update in the pipeline, so be sure to check it out. Thank you for watching, and please stick around for more mathematical yap.